Non ce l'abbiamo, creiamolo. Facciamo survival e success system.
No, è troppo lungo.
No, SIS. SIS? No. Oppure startup?
No, SS.
Sì, SS.
SS, tutto SS. Facciamo SS e IJF. Ah no, sì, no. IJF 12 SS.
SIS facciamo?
SIS.
Ok,
Come vuoi,
SIS,
sì.
ok. Allora, buongiorno a tutti. Iniziamo questo panel che è il titolo è Startup di successo in Europa. Oggi vogliamo parlare di alcune esperienze di giornalismo innovativo e indipendente, cioè giornalismo che non ha grossi investitori alle spalle, che non hanno media mainstream alle spalle, quindi sono nati su iniziativa di singole persone, come appunto progetti innovativi, per lo più solo digitali, quindi senza senza puntare assolutamente sulla carta o sulla TV. Ne parliamo perché è da poco uscito uno studio che ho realizzato per il Reuters Institute sulle start-up europee, giornalistiche appunto, analizzando alcuni case study in Italia, in Francia e in Germania. Poi accanto a me c'è Johanna Vecchio, che è dalla Finlandia, e lei ci parlerà di un altro progetto interessante, Submojur, si chiama Modelli sostenibili di business per il giornalismo, in cui invece hanno analizzato molti più case study, oltre 50, tra cui molti europei, per capire quali sono le differenze principali tra fare informazione online indipendente in Europa e negli Stati Uniti. Noi spesso sentiamo parlare appunto di questi pure player, come li chiamano in Francia, o start-up, come li chiamano negli Stati Uniti, di successo, come appunto che oramai sono diventati, addirittura hanno vinto il Pulitzer di recente, sia l'Huffington Post che Politico. L'Huffington Post, ricordiamo, è stato venduto per 315 milioni di dollari, ha fatto un fatturato di oltre 30 milioni di profitti nel 2010, Gawker, un altro network di blog, anche fa profitti da milioni di euro, lo stesso Politico, che è un sito indipendente nato a Washington che copre tutte le notizie sulla Casa Bianca, fa profitti alle stelle. Per cui spesso, non so, il nostro punto di partenza è che sappiamo tantissimo di quello che succede negli Stati Uniti, bene o male questa è l'unica forma di, non lo so, l'unico case studies che conosciamo bene, invece dell'Europa non sappiamo ancora nulla, o sappiamo pochissimo. Quindi abbiamo deciso di analizzare alcuni case studies che negli ultimi anni, soprattutto in Francia e Italia, ma in Germania e in Inghilterra già dall'inizio del 2000 ci sono stati, piccole realtà che hanno saputo passo dopo passo costruire una propria identità, sono arrivati anche a posizionarsi come sostenibili, lo diciamo sempre tra virgolette perché per un media digitale essere sostenibile vuol dire tutto e non vuol dire nulla, essendo molto fluido il mercato, e quindi qui oggi ne abbiamo alcuni. Abbiamo dalla Germania Thierry Schervel, okay, che è il fondatore di Perlentauscher, che è un sito web che potremmo definire di nicchia, se non si offende, nel senso che è un sito che si occupa soltanto di giornalismo culturale e lo fa in una maniera innovativa che presto ci spiegherà. Poi abbiamo Turi Munte dall'Inghilterra, è il fondatore di Demotics, non so se lo conoscete, che è una piattaforma ma anche un sito autonomo di citizen journalism che raccoglie soprattutto contributi visivi da tutte le parti del mondo e poi vende questi contenuti alle agenzie o alle testate, ai giornali, alle TV. E poi abbiamo Jan Gegan, okay? Gegan okay? Che invece è di Rue 429, che è un sito francese molto interessante, nel senso che è online dal 2007, è riuscito a sopravvivere per 5 anni e di recente è stato acquistato dal gruppo Le Nouvel Observateur, quindi è entrato in un gruppo grande, un po' come negli Stati Uniti, diciamo, è successo con il Daily Beast, che si è fuso con Newsweek. Sono 3 esempi diversi, perché abbiamo un sito di nicchia, un sito che è più una piattaforma, e il contenuto forse viene dopo l'essere una piattaforma, e invece un sito proprio di massa, cioè che è rivolto a un pubblico di massa, che va a fare anche, che fino a poco tempo fa almeno era anche in competizione con le principali testate francesi, adesso dopo l'acquisizione forse qualcosa è cambiato. La cosa interessante è che sia Thierry, Turi, sto il problema con i nomi, Jan hanno origini francesi, perché sono nati o hanno parenti genitori in francesi, e questa cosa è interessante perché dallo studio appunto che abbiamo fatto quello che emerge è che la vera patria in cui si sta innovando, si sta sperimentando di più è la Francia. In Francia da un sacco di anni c'è quello che in questo studio abbiamo definito la Nouvelle Vague del giornalismo indipendente, nel senso che ci sono, così come negli anni 60 appunto ci sono Godard, Truffaut, hanno cambiato le regole del cinema, creando questo movimento appunto della Nouvelle Vague, facendo dei film che alcune volte sono stati di successo, altre volte non sono stati di successo, però comunque scrivendo una nuova pagina del cinema. Lo stesso sta avvenendo in Francia, dove ci sono più di una dozzina di siti indipendenti che stanno testando un po' tutti i modelli di business più diversi e spesso fanno da ispirazione anche per altre iniziative che vengono dopo, come per esempio è successo invece in Italia, che è un paese che ha avuto, in cui i pure players diciamo, sono arrivati solamente di recente, nel 2010. Io adesso partirei dando la parola a Johanna, che ci parlerà per somme linee del progetto che sta seguendo all'Università di Tampere in Finlandia, che si chiama Submojur, che è proprio appunto creare un database in cui vengono schedate tutte le start-up che ci sono in Europa, ma non solo, e capire quali sono i modelli di business sostenibili.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. This is if Nico will show the website, can you get? It's not working. Okay. Well, it's submojur.net. So submojur.net, and this is a research project, joint project by 3 different universities. One of them is the University of Tampere in Finland. One is Vareda University in Japan, and one is USC Annenberg in the United States. And this project consists of 2 different phases. The first phase is planning and building the business model database that you can find on this website. And this database will present business models that are preferably profitable, or at least soon becoming profitable, or at least sustainable. We've had to adjust that a bit because there aren't that many who are profitable, actually. And this will basically serve as a tool for both researchers of journalism, but then also for any of you journalists out there who are thinking of establishing your own online journalism business. You can browse through this website and look for business models that might work for you. And you can browse it by what kind of advertising models people have, what kind of content models, streams of revenue, and what kind of products they sell, and staff size or the subject matter of the website. And then in the second phase, we will do some in-depth studies, case studies, about the economical and social conditions of journalism in order to understand exactly what the context of these business models is. And there will be case studies from the US, different European countries, and Japan. So basically, yeah, check out the website. In June, at some point, we should have the report out, and it will be published online, and all the case studies will be online by June.
Sì, se sapete di startup che non ci sono ancora lì dentro nel database, segnatele pure a me o a Johanna, così le inseriremo. Bene, adesso direi di entrare proprio nel vivo, di partire subito con le start-up di successo che abbiamo portato oggi qui a Perugia. Direi di partire con Thierry, per l'Entauscher, il sito web che ha creato nel 2001, quindi che sopravvive da ormai 10 anni. Se ci puoi spiegare qual è la parte più innovativa dal punto di vista, diciamo, partiamo prima dai contenuti, cioè cosa offrite voi che nel panorama dei media online tedesco non c'è?
Okay. Yes, we created it even in 2000. It exists since 12 years now. And it's very much based on a press review. You know perhaps that German papers are very, very strong, have very strong cultural pages, and that also very much of the important political debates, let's say the historian debate with Habermas or things like that, often occur in the cultural pages of the newspapers in Germany. So the cultural newspapers are very important part of the public sphere in Germany, and our idea was to bundle what they do, to aggregate, to say what is in the newspapers every day, and we have three main institutions in this a press review idea. One is to say in the morning, at 9 o'clock in the morning, we say, so that are the contents of the newspapers today. That is in the newspaper. We cite the most important articles. And in the afternoon, we present abstracts of the book reviews, because there are always many book reviews in the German newspapers every day. This is really rather unique in the European and international press. There are hundreds of book reviews per month in the German newspapers. So we bundle them, we put them in a database, we make them searchable, and the third very important institution in this concept is the magazine review, which is international, and in which we speak about important intellectual and cultural magazines in many languages, and all the languages which by accident or by talent we managed to read, even Hungarian ones, and quoting and trying to give a little image of the public sphere in Europe. So this was the main idea. We started in 2000, and you have to think back, 2000 is 12 years ago. There were not so much not press contents in the internet. Even the form of the blog was invented, but blogs were not known at this moment. Let's not speak about social networks. All that didn't exist in this time. So we are a sort of pioneering website which is aggregating, let's say, quality content in German-speaking, but not only German-speaking media. And we have also our own articles, cinema columns, debates, etc. So we started to be a real media in the cultural and intellectual sphere in Germany.
We'd like to hello. We'd like to pose the same question to Turi and Jan as well. Can you describe your content and what makes you unique?
Hello. 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 So I run something called demotics, like Asterix and Obelix, but with democracy at the idea as the starting point. And the idea behind demotics was twofold. On the one hand, to create a safe online platform for anyone, anywhere, to upload their local news stories. And the impetus behind that was very much one which emerged out of a concern about dwindling free speech across the world ever since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The freedom indices have been dropping, and I have a history of being interested in that particular aspect. And the second part of demotics was that, as all of you will know, there's been a mass hemorrhaging of jobs in the field of foreign reporting. It's the case also in domestic reporting, but we're at a place today where there are only 4 US newspapers that have a foreign desk. That's 300 million people. 4 newspapers with a foreign desk. If you want to know what they are, that's the LA Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times. A few magazines like Time and Newsweek add in there, but the same is true across the world. The BBC doesn't have a single staff correspondent in the whole of Latin America, and the list goes on. So what we thought we could try and do would be to build a platform where locals could tell local stories, which we would then be able to feed in to mainstream media as an alternative to the mainstream news wires, the AP and Reuters, that now pretty much dominate all global news coverage. So that's what we did. We launched in January 2009. Our first big coup was in Iran, in the minor blip in their democratic process in June 2009, where, as you will know, pretty much every single foreign correspondent was either forbidden entry into the country or arrested or had their material taken away or kicked out. We had 24 local street journalists in the streets of Tehran shipping us their images via anonymous Google accounts and all sorts of things. And that was our first front page of the New York Times. We've grown ever since. We're now about 30,000 people inside the Demotics platform, of whom around 6,000 are active. We sell the content that our contributors generate all over the world. We have 43 international reps. We have a very deep strategic partnership with Corbis, which is the second biggest image library in the world. And we run on a very, very basic principle, which is, unlike a whole bunch of news sites, including the Huffington Post, our view is that journalism is difficult to do, it takes time, and it takes money. So what we've tried to do is to build essentially a variable cost version of the AP or Reuters. By splitting any revenues that we make from the sale of our content, we split 50-50 those revenues back with our contributors. Thereby, we hope, in our idealistic, childlike, adolescent way, to incentivize them to get more involved in the whole business of journalism. So that's the basic model. As I say, we have about 30,000 contributors. We generate around 1,000 to 1,500 images from around the world every day, with a particular focus on what we ironically call ROW, rest of world, so not the US, not Europe, and we also have a site. And this is, I suppose, is the surprise for us, is that Demotics has become in its own right a kind of news platform. We generate around 1.5 million page impressions every month, and we've just started to bring on advertising revenue. We get almost nothing, but 80% of that advertising revenue goes back to our contributors. And the reason that we did this was a blinding, heartbreaking realization that I had about a year ago, which comes with a particular story. About a year ago, one of our contributors in Mogadishu managed to get inside the Shabab militias walking around the suburbs of Mogadishu and took extraordinary photos and video of what these people were doing. On the same day, one of our London-based contributors was walking back from Downing Street where nothing had happened. He was walking through St. James's Park, which is the big park next to Buckingham Palace, and he saw a man on a bench with a pelican. The pelican pictures we sold to every single UK newspaper except for The Guardian, and the Somali pictures are gathering cyber dust somewhere in the archives of our servers. So we realized that part of our mission, which was to tell different kinds of stories from different perspectives, was failing horribly when it came to selling into mainstream media, who are ever more constrained in the kind of content they produce because of the business models imposed on them by the economics of the web. So we thought we'd become a very, very low grade, but optimistic publisher in our own right. That's Demotics.
So my name is Yann Guégan. I'm the deputy editor-in-chief at Rue 89. This media was founded in 2007. We started the very day Nicolas Sarkozy was elected. I hope we are not going to disappear the day he will disappear, and that we are going to last longer than him. That's our goal. And what we do is participative journalism. Our baseline is the three voices info. The three voices being the journalists, the experts, and the users. And we try to make everybody contribute to the production of the news. So what is a participative journalist from our point of view? Just to give you a few examples, back in those days, we were among the first journalists who were reading comments below the stories that we publish, and sometimes we answer also to the users. It might be surprising for you, but back in those days, nobody in the journalism sphere, nobody did that. Nobody went to the comment section. And those things have changed because at that time, readers were very happy that we answer to the comments, and now they are unhappy if we don't answer to the comments. So they have no use to that conversation with us, to that connection. So that's one thing, being active in the comment section. Another thing is publishing the witness reports, what we can call story of my life stuff, or look what has happened to me stuff. Another part of our work is to make experts like university teachers publish opinion pieces, for example, or we try to have their insight on news. I mean, to have a larger view on a larger point of view on the news. And we run also a lot of experiences, for example, crowdsourcing for maps. Or crowdsourcing for pictures, we do that too. And another example that I can give you is that we live blog our own weekly team briefing. I mean, you can also chat with one of the team members every week. So that's the kind of relationship we have with our readers. So that's basically the specificity of Rue 89.
Thank you. Then, because the topic of the conversation here is the business side of things, then the next question to all of you is could you describe the business model of your website kind of in a nutshell? And so, in other words, how do you make money, and do you make enough of it? You can start.
Okay. How do we make money? That's a big question. The first business model was, as many websites, advertisement, and the founders of Rue 89 were told when they started the website that if they had 1 million unique visitor a month, they will receive 1 million euros revenue a month. And it turns out that's not true. You can count on that, believe me. So after a few months, they saw that advertisement will not be the only source of income, and then we try to again experiment a lot of way to make money. What can I tell you? We try to make. I don't know if you know the $1 million homepage. Maybe you've heard of it. A few years ago, a guy who earned $1 million with the $1 million homepage. So we try to do the same. So we had a wall, basically it's a big screen where a page where you can buy little bricks to make your little advert on it. Or sometimes it was just a support message. So we tried to do $1 million homepage. We had quite a success, but obviously that's not enough to pay the bills, to pay the salaries. And what else? More significant, we launched a training department. We propose a major news organization to teach them online journalism, to teach them what we have learned by working as a pure player on the web. and we help old-fashioned media to understand what's really happening on the web. And this was quickly successful. We now have many customers in various media, I mean regional newspaper, TV, radio stations, and magazines. We tried also to conceive and develop websites for customers, for NGOs, for example, for small media. This is also a significant source of income for us. We try to sell content to others. For example, we sometimes had exclusive video that we would sell to TV channels. We launched a print edition. It was a monthly magazine. It was profitable at the beginning, but not so much after a few months, and we had to stop it. What else? We tried to launch an online shopping section like The Guardian did. The Guardian did it, make a lot of money, let's try that. That was not so good idea. We also were thinking of adding a paywall at the end, so it was one of the project, like the New York Times, but it turns out we do not have enough traffic to do like the New York Times. And one of the key things that we should have done maybe earlier was to sell ourselves the adverts by hiring by hiring sellers on the team, and to save the commission money that you have to pay. So believe me, we did our best. We fought hard, and we also always had monetization in mind. We did not burn cash like many journalists do when someone gives them some budget to spend. I mean, sometimes the journalists take the money and run, and they do a lot of story during a few months, and then there is no more money and everything stops. That's not what we do. But at the end of the day, we had to realize that all the source of income were not enough yet. We strongly believe that it can be enough in the following years. That's an important point. And that's why the founder have accepted the buyout.
So it seems like you're a good example of the idea that it's no longer, in the digital world, it's no longer sufficient to build your journalism business just on the sort of traditional media business models, as in subscription and advertising, but you need to try all sorts of things, and even if your revenue comes from small streams, you need sort of multiple revenue sources. Is that the same for you, Thierry?
Yes, I would say it's on a smaller scale. It's a little bit the same thing. Our main income now is really advertisement. We are 4 or 5 people, so you can imagine how much you need. We have 1.5 million page impressions per month, 300,000 unique visitors, but our big advantage, we have perhaps 2 advantages. We are old, we exist since 12 years, so we are very known and we are very focused. Our main clients for advertisement are publishing houses, in German publishing houses. This is still a big business, and we invented a format for book advertisements, which in the same time was really simple. They didn't need any agency or designers to realize their advertisements, and it was not expensive for them, and they could react very, very immediately, and so we invented a convincing advertisement format, which is for us extremely stabilizing. It's not giving us all the money we need, but it's giving us a regular, constant stream of money. And this is very important, because if you are a very small enterprise like we are, the most important thing is that it is regular. that you have regular income, because it's beautiful if you have perhaps once an advertisement for, I don't know, 4,000 or 10,000 euros or so, but this is really rare. It doesn't happen very often. And but it's good to have a format like this book ad in the parent talk. Perhaps you can show it. Can you show it on the screen? Because you see the little book on the left side. This works really well in our website. It has click rates which are 10 times higher than normal banner advertisements, something like 1%, because it's clearly shown that it is an advertisement, but it's really near to the content, and our readers consider it as an information, because there are the new books of the relevant publishing houses in Germany which are presented there. Another advantage is that the advertisement itself is not very expensive, something like 200 euros, but publishing houses got used to book 50 or 70 books per year or so. So we have a constant income stream. It's easy to manage that, and this is our secret, in a way. And I would say to every media or every journalist who is trying to make money with his work in the internet, to try to invent something simple which makes it simple to other people to react to it.
By the way, the hashtag for this session is IJF12 Startup. We could show the Twitter feed. Then, Turi, it's your turn to explain about your business.
So I want to... This whole panel started quite depressingly when Nicola said that being able to survive is a success in its own right. And I wanted to say two things. The first is that this is not a startup problem. This is a journalism problem. There is a major systemic issue with any form of content on the internet. The internet broke all business models around content on the internet, whether it's music. Film is the last one to go because it's so very hard. It has been so very hard to stream big, thick, fat videos across the web, but that's all changing now. So they're going to go audio in all forms, and text, of course, syndication, no copyright, complicated rules, etc. Journalism has an even bigger problem, which is that historically they have always ducked this issue of the direct relationship between content producer and consumer. News has always been, journalism and journalists have always play a critical and vital part in society, but frankly, news has simply only been a vehicle to sell advertising since the beginning of newspapers. So we've never had a direct relationship between the news producer and the consumer of that news. It's always been basically the horse on which we ship, in large part for most of the history of newspapers, classified ads, but also all the other kind of advertising. So I want to put all this into perspective and shout out to anybody involved in the news business from a startup perspective or elsewhere. We're having a rough ride generally. In terms of business, rant over Demotics. What Demotics does is cheat. We sell. We're not a publisher. We've just started generating a little bit of advertising revenue, but as I said earlier, that's really because I feel guilty about some of the extraordinary work that our contributors are doing. We sell to mainstream media. And we're able to sell to mainstream media because for the time being, mainstream media still just about reckons that it exists and that it has potential future business models, and they're investing in the future even if the present is a horrid, horrid nightmare for them. But I'm banking on the fact that news will continue to exist in a profitable form, because at a certain point, I'm not going to have anybody to sell to otherwise. So that's a big bet from our perspective.
Bene, sì, è interessante quello che ha detto Turi, ma anche gli altri, perché diciamo che è in linea con quelli che sono i risultati dello studio che abbiamo realizzato appunto al Reuters Institute di Oxford. Noi dall'analisi dei case studies appunto in Francia, Germania e Italia, tra cui c'è anche per l'Entaucher, Hucat Van Neff. Siamo arrivati alla conclusione, sì, il titolo può sembrare un po' pessimistico, sopravvivere è già un successo, però come tu dicevi l'Europa non è gli Stati Uniti, qui c'è un mercato della pubblicità, un mercato di audience che è nazionale e non è potenzialmente globale come quello degli Stati Uniti, e questo porta dietro di sé tutta una serie di conseguenze sulla monetizzazione che sono diverse. Questo discorso non vale per la Gran Bretagna, però per l'Italia, Francia e Germania vale. Noi siamo arrivati alla conclusione che per sopravvivere appunto in questi paesi in cui c'è un mercato linguistico molto ristretto rispetto a quello dell'inglese, bisogna offrire innanzitutto un prodotto di qualità e originale. Queste sono delle precondizioni che noi diciamo per il successo, ognuna delle quali è necessaria ma non sufficiente naturalmente. Innanzitutto bisogna offrire un prodotto di qualità e che sia originale. Poi bisogna avere delle organizzazioni molto snelle, cioè non bisogna puntare a fare l'Huffington Post che ha più di 1000 giornalisti subito, ma nemmeno 100 giornalisti, bisogna partire con qualcosa di molto preciso, non so, per l'Entaucher l'ha fatto, Hucat Van Neff è un po' più grande forse, però comunque siete sui 20 giornalisti, no? Se non sbaglio, 25? Ok. Poi l'altra regola fondamentale è non sopravvivere soltanto sulla pubblicità. Se vuoi suicidarti come startup e pensare che tu puoi andare alla guerra della pubblicità, dove da una parte devi fare la guerra contro gli altri siti che sono già ben posizionati nel tuo paese, quindi c'è tutta la guerra per quello che si chiama il CPM, cioè il costo di 1000 impression, che è una guerra durissima e che tra l'altro sta andando anche al ribasso, quindi devi andare appunto crearti dei formati originali come hanno fatto loro, o soprattutto crearti nuovi modelli di guadagno, come può essere appunto quello di Demotics, in cui tu il tuo modello di business è già business to business, cioè tu vendi ad altre persone che fanno business, oppure nel caso di Hucat Van Neff è stato proprio interessante perché voi avete esplorato direi quasi tutta la varietà di possibili fonti di guadagno, cioè avete la pubblicità, avete il training, fate il training, fate design, web design, avete fatto il magazine e diciamo che voi avete esplorato tutto questo lavorando bene come sito, quindi avendo una base di utenti molto lavorando bene sul lato partecipativo, quindi avendo una base di utenti molto forte, 2 milioni di utenti unici in media al mese sono tanti in Francia, se Le Monde ne ha 4-5, quindi diciamo che alla metà in 4-5 anni siete riusciti a lavorare bene da quel punto di vista, però comunque già tutte queste fonti di guadagno voi siete andati vicino al pareggio, però ancora non l'avete raggiunto proprio in pieno. Questo per dire cosa? Che forse cioè il mondo delle start-up in Europa in cui ci muoviamo, cioè almeno per le start-up che vogliono sopravvivere da sole e che non hanno come obiettivo quello di farsi acquisire da un grande gruppo editoriale, che anche può essere una strategia di business, a noi ci sembrava appunto più simile a quello del mondo dell'arte che non è quello del giornalismo, cioè dove c'è un sacco di creatività, c'è un sacco di voglia di innovare, un sacco di talenti, cioè di persone che vogliono lavorare, che vogliono impegnarsi, che vogliono metterci la propria passione, la propria grinta, però c'è una situazione molto precaria in cui non si sa bene le quotazioni, no? Immaginate un giovane artista alle prime armi, le quotazioni del mercato come vanno, ti può andare bene, ti può andare male, ci troviamo in quella che secondo uno studio che è stato fatto sulle start-up però tecnologiche negli Stati Uniti si chiama la fase della valle della morte, cioè quando è tutto è contro di te e tu sei lì, c'hai tanta passione, tanta voglia però stai nella valle della morte e pian piano devi risalire, quindi per risalire devi aggrapparti a qualsiasi tipo di fonte di guadagno perché c'hai tutti contro di te. Però sempre da questo studio che è stato fatto sulle start-up tecnologiche emergeva un dato interessante che su 10, permettiamo che le start-up tecnologiche non possono essere paragonate a quelle giornalistiche in quanto ne nascono in numero, proliferano tantissime ogni giorno anche in Italia. Comunque la cosa interessante che emergeva da questo studio è che di 10 start-up che nascevano, nel giro se non sbaglio di 2 anni soltanto una sopravviveva. Io adesso vorrei chiedere a loro che sono qui, perché voi pensate di poter essere quella startup che sopravvive? Cioè cosa pensate di poter offrire in più o di avere in più rispetto appunto a un settore che abbiamo detto ipercompetitivo non solo da parte dei grossi player, ma anche da parte di altre startup. Non so, in Francia c'è poi un sovraffollamento, no, di nuove iniziative. Partiamo con Thierry.
Yeah, we survived because we are not a startup. We are a small family enterprise, like a small pizzeria in Perugia or so. We are working on a very, very concentrated, in a very, very concentrated way. We didn't raise money. We started with 50,000 marks from friends and relatives, which we paid back since a long time. And we created our revenue, our income stream immediately. So we didn't wait for the moment that it come, but from the first moment on, we managed to have income, which was possible because in 2000 the world was still rather optimistic, and it was easy to find, for example, internet book sellers or so who were willing to pay 10,000 marks for a little bit of content per month. This wouldn't be thinkable today anymore, but in 2000 people didn't know that you can't make money with content. So yes, we were lucky, and we then invented, as I said, this format of advertisement and other things. And I think we survived because we are very small, very flexible, and not dependent on money from outside.
This is the worst question I've ever been asked. I have no idea. I really have no idea. So I'm going to ignore it and just repeat, perhaps reframe what I was trying to say earlier, which is until all journalism has figured out a way of making consumers pay for the content that they're producing, whether it's with very, very simple but highly effective advertising for books, or the various different extraordinary things that Rue 89 has been pioneering, and they have been doing amazing, amazing things for the last 3 or 4 years, for longer actually. Then journalism dies if it's in private hands until you turn around and say that actually it provides such an extraordinary critical function to a citizenry that the state steps up and takes responsibility for educating its populations about how to vote, which is broadly what journalism in large part seeks to do. So it's sort of, and this is where I think we're all heading. It's extremely hard. It gets harder with every new website to generate the advertising revenue because you're competing in an infinite space. There are an infinite number of pages on which to advertise. Why would anybody come to yours? Unless it's extremely niche. But so you're competing in an ever more complicated, dangerous and competitive space in terms of generating advertising revenue. And what I'm desperately hoping for at a certain point is for the entire news industry to come up with a collective, almost certainly monopolistic, probably illegal, but certainly saving system where we as consumers pay for the extremely good, extremely difficult to generate, and extremely important work that journalists do. Because otherwise, welcome to BBC and Al Jazeera, and those will be the only two models that will exist going down the line.
I had some time to prepare the answer because it's a tricky question. So I think we survived because we were the first to do what we did, what we do, and this is also why I'm this is also why I am worried about the future, because we have copied a lot of stuff we saw on, for example, American websites. You talk about Politico, for example, or of course Huffington Post. So we have made a lot of copy of these techniques and this interaction with the readership. But we were also a lot copied by other media companies in France, and now they are all doing what we do, and sometimes they are doing it better than what we do. So that's why I'm afraid sometimes. But we still have some cards to play, of course. So we were the first to do what we do, and it helped us to become what you can describe as the biggest media of the small media, or if you put it in another way, the smallest of the big medias. I mean, we were big enough to attract investors, and there was a lot of sympathy, a lot of passion among Rue 89, and we were big enough at the end to be attractive to Le Nouvel Observateur. So I think that's the key. We were the first.
After this next question, we're going to give the floor to you, so think about questions you would like to ask any one of our guests. The big question, obviously, in most journalists' minds nowadays is how are we going to get paid for our work? How are professional journalists going to get paid nowadays and in the future for online journalism? And we know, for example, Huffington Post doesn't pay its bloggers, and now the Huffington Post is coming to Italy, France, Spain, Germany, and they don't pay. So what is your approach to this, and who creates your content, and how are they being paid? Turi, you might start.
Yeah, because I hate the Huffington Post, and some of my closest friends work there. So the Huffington Post is precisely, I think, what's wrong with where these new models are going. Ariana, bless her cotton socks, has just walked away with $100 and something million, which I hope she's put into a Swiss bank account in Swiss francs because the euro is going down the tubes. And her writers for the last 5 years who've produced tens, if not hundreds of thousands of hours of work, get, in English, diddly squat. They get nothing at all. And she now runs the whole media outfit for AOL, one of the biggest media platforms in the world, frankly, on this model that somehow journalists, content producers, are a disposable, unpayable force. The problem with this, very, very simply, is that if the only people who can afford to write for the Huffington Post are a certain kind of people, so you only get a certain kind of voice talking in that space. It happens for the Huffington Post to be very wealthy, very liberal. I like that. I would like to be the former. I am the latter. But I didn't invent the Huffington Post, so I have to wait. The key point there is that you end up with a shrinkage in the amount in the voices available to you. There are only so many people who can afford to work for no money. And so Demotic starts on the absolute opposite principle. What we're trying to do is to ship revenue, Western revenue levels, back into the rest of the world. So across Demotics, we have thousands of real citizen journalists. We also have hundreds of local professionals from Bangladesh, from Mali, from Gaza, wherever they are. When they sell into their local newspapers, they're getting $1 an image, $5 a video. When they ship through Demotics and we sell it into The Guardian, they're getting 50% of £100. They're doing 50 times as much. What we hope we're doing there is we're diversifying the voices available to mainstream media, and we're paying a living, sort of proper money to the people who are contributing to us. Because that is the only way you ensure quality content. I spent the first year or two of Demotics being shouted at by professional journalists at panels like this, saying, you're destroying professionalism, you're destroying our jobs, you're destroying the nature of journalism. On the contrary, what we're doing is we're amplifying it. What we're trying to do is to open up the amount of different kind of voices that can feed into mainstream media at the levels of pay that Western media works at.
Yes, we are paying our journalists, we are paying our editors. It's clear that they don't have salaries like in the Spiegel or so, but we pay a salary, and we are also working with freelance journalists, which we are paying not so much worse than the newspapers, but it's clear that the newspapers don't pay well. And it's always clear also that you have to make money before you pay. So this is the main problem about which we speak here. It's extremely difficult to make money with mainstream contents, let's say, and this problem is not solved, even when there are some surviving little media.
So, to summarize our policy in that, to summarize it roughly, I will say that journalists are paid. When you work for Lucas Romanoff and you do journalist work, you are paid. Not so well, I'm afraid, but you're paid. Non-journalists are not paid. So if you're a blogger, for example, you will not receive money for your work, for your post. And we decided that, obviously, because we don't have enough money to pay everybody. But my personal opinion is that it's not a bad thing. I think that amateurs are participating to a news website not because they want to be paid, but because they want to participate. That's as simple as that. If you are a doctor, for example, and you have a point of view about social security policy, and you want to promote your ideas, you don't give a damn to be paid for it or not. What you want is to participate and to make your voices loud in the debate. So I have a problem if my website will not be able to pay the journalist, but I don't think that we have to pay everybody.
Ci sono domande? Magari anche c'è Elisabetta Tola di Formica Blu, che è una startup italiana, magari puoi dirci un po' anche come si fa, come lavorano le startup in Italia? C'è prima Elisabetta e poi l'altra domanda Bernardo.
Allora, grazie Nicola. Sì, non è proprio non è proprio propriamente una start-up. Formica Blu è un'agenzia di comunicazione scientifica, quindi ha 7 anni ormai, quindi stiamo entrando nel momento in cui vedremo se sopravviviamo verso il 10° anno o no. Ma noi abbiamo 2 elementi di fondo che fino adesso ci hanno caratterizzato. Siamo un gruppo di professionisti. Quindi sì, è un SRL, quindi una compagnia, un'azienda, ma in realtà lavoriamo come collettivo di professionisti, quindi abbiamo tutti un ampio margine di libertà. Collaboriamo, diciamo, con diverse testate e al tempo stesso, quando serve, ci mettiamo insieme e lavoriamo insieme su un progetto. Quindi abbiamo entrambe le forme, il singolo giornalista e al tempo stesso il lavoro collettivo. Fino adesso abbiamo potuto produrre poco in termini autonomi di contenuto giornalistico. Forse la chiave del nostro lavoro è produrre contenuti di tipo giornalistico, sempre sullo stampo scientifico naturalmente, che è la nostra nicchia specifica, per tutta una serie di committenti, per esempio gli istituti di ricerca, progetti di ricerca, ricercatori e via dicendo, che normalmente non pensano a usare un linguaggio giornalistico per raccontare quello che fanno. Quindi il nostro modello si basa sull'idea di usare un linguaggio giornalistico, un approccio anche proprio di rapporto col pubblico che ha molte caratteristiche del giornalismo, quindi non è la comunicazione istituzionale propriamente detta, però pensando a dei clienti diversi, quindi non il pubblico generale ma gruppi specifici. La sfida in Italia, e quindi sarei anche contenta di sentire altre esperienze, è che il giornalismo in realtà rende veramente molto poco quando si lavora da freelance, quindi nonostante sia la nostra grande passione ci rendiamo conto che è una parte molto piccola del nostro reddito e la parte principale non viene da un lavoro giornalistico strettamente detto, ma invece da appunto la produzione di contenuti multimediali. Forse le nostre 2 chiavi di lavoro sono state lavorare su un settore specifico che è scienza e tecnologia, soprattutto quello, in una chiave però non divulgativa, non vecchio stampo, ma in una chiave di rapporto tra scienza e società, quindi andando a vedere cosa oggi può essere interessante della scienza, no? Nella società contemporanea, e dall'altro lato abbiamo avuto la fortuna di arrivare a iniziare a fare questo tipo di lavoro in un momento in cui stava cambiando tutto. Quindi noi non siamo, diciamo, viziati dal fatto che si era abituati a essere pagati molto bene e siamo entrati subito in un momento in cui abbiamo cercato di usare molto i linguaggi della rete. Quindi queste sono le 2 cose su cui abbiamo puntato. È una sfida però, quindi vediamo.
In bocca al lupo. C'è un'altra domanda, grazie.
Una curiosità per l'Entacher. Volevo chiedere se fate rassegna stampa soltanto di contenuti online o anche offline? Cioè voi fate una selezione di articoli e li linkate oppure fate dite sulla rivista cartacea X c'è il contenuto Y?
Yes, that's a good question because It's clear that newspapers, even when they say that they are in a way obliged to publish all their articles online, they don't do it. They don't really do it. And it's clear, it's true that many of the articles of big German newspapers are not online. So you have always to decide, if you make a daily press review, whether you want to speak about those articles which are not online. And we do it when we feel that they are really important. Let's say there was a very, very big debate about a very bad poem by Günter Grass some weeks ago. And this poem was not online in the first moment, but it's clear that in our press review we spoke about this poem. And so it's a daily new decision whether we speak about articles which are not online, but we want to speak about articles which are online.
Salve, sono Bernardo di Global Voices and parlo in italiano, facciamo prima. No, volevo dire, il problema degli introiti, soldi, pagamenti, secondo me è un falso problema, cioè non capisco perché bisognerebbe prima di tutto pagare qualcuno, cioè è come mettere il carro davanti ai buoi. Il punto è invece avere un progetto, lavorare, avere la passione e impegnarsi a fare qualcosa per cambiare il mondo o il giornalismo o il quartiere o il bar locale. E poi se escono dei soldi, escono. Questo è un falso problema, come il problema del giornalismo professionista, per cui non si vendono più giornali in edicola, ce lo scaricano su noi lettori perché non compriamo abbastanza e cose di questo tipo. Non sono i nostri problemi. I problemi di un attivista cittadino, citizen reporter o whatever io volete chiamarlo, è quello di fare l'informazione, di fare anche casino, di fare controinformazione, di creare contenuti, non di pensare al giornalismo per guadagnare, per fare soldi e cose di questo tipo. Che poi l'Huffington Post abbia fatto un gran macello, siamo perfettamente d'accordo, non funziona quel modello lo stesso, ma perché non è stato chiaro all'inizio? Perché è stato uno sfruttamento dall'inizio. Ma se noi lavoriamo come Global Voices, per esempio, abbiamo fondazioni americane che pagano per i server e cose di questo tipo, ma 500 circa blogger nel mondo non prendiamo una lira da 7 anni, a parte minimi progetti finalizzati. Quindi non dobbiamo porci il problema chi paga, chi prende o chi non prende o come facciamo i soldi. Qui dobbiamo tirarci sulle maniche per cambiare la situazione dell'informazione, per cambiare il mondo e quindi lo facciamo.
Mi lasciate? Sì, benissimo. Io vorrei parlare in inglese. So Demotics and Global Voices have had a partnership for a couple of years now. We are your chief photo partner. You use a lot of our content on a monthly basis. Global Voices sort of led the way when it came to this aggregate collective conscience-taking from a real global perspective, and the work that Global Voices has done has been absolutely extraordinary. And there's absolutely no question about the value that Global Voices brings to journalism generally, to activism, because it's extremely activist as a platform. And all of that is true. However, it is not and cannot be the only model of journalism. Categorically cannot be. The 500 journalists who work for Global Voices for free on an ad hoc, irregular, sometimes more regular basis, provides a network of information, provides a resource for journalists, but there is no way that they can get stuck into the type of work which really takes time and money. The sitting outside of courthouses, the deep investigative journalism that's required to keep, and we're in Italy where, you know, I'm English and French, but so we have our own problems, but Italy really, really does need some closer attention paid to the machinations of its politicians and businessmen, etc. That kind of work takes an enormous amount of time. It takes reporters, it takes an editor-in-chief who can turn around and say, as they did with Woodward and Bernstein 20 years ago, spend 6 months in a basement garage talking to somebody who you can't disclose on the off chance that the information that you'll get will be truly seismic. Global Voices can't afford to do that. Unless people are paid, unless newspapers are paid, unless broadcasters make money, they will never be able to afford to do the kind of work which generates great journalism.
I agree with Turi, obviously, but I think you have a point. What is interesting is that the journalist can disappear. I mean, it's a fact. We can all lose your job tomorrow because of the shifting we are living now. The media can disappear, but the information will not disappear. And I think, on the contrary, the information is flourishing because of the web. We have more and more sources. So we have also, as journalists, as a media, we have to deal with that. We have to deal with this new ecosystem, and maybe we are not so necessary that we thought we were.
Qualche altra domanda? Volete fare sulle start-up, come si... Niente?
Any more questions?
Vabbè, allora vado io, faccio un'ultima domanda. O tu, Gianna, ne hai una? Se no vado io. Sappiamo che spesso i nuovi soggetti, appunto parliamo di Huffington Post, creano accesi dibattiti anche con i media mainstream, no? Tutte le frizioni che ci sono state tra l'Huffington Post e il New York Times in America, negli Stati Uniti, la dice lunga su quanto si stanno cambiando i modelli di business, però anche di come i media tradizionali tante volte hanno paura di queste piccole start-up che si muovono alla loro base. Ci potete dire un po' del vostro rapporto? Ad esempio so che per l'Entauscher ha avuto un rapporto abbastanza tribolato, no? Con i grandi giornali tedeschi.
Yes, not all newspapers were happy to be cited, quoted by Perlentaucher, or let's say it's always schizophrenic, because they want to be quoted by us, and on the other hand they have the impression that they give away something, even when we really only quote, we don't reprint their articles or so. But we had the two biggest quality newspapers in Germany, Süddeutsche Zeitung and Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, sued us, and we had a 6-year-long trial with copyright questions, which had to clear whether we have the right to do what we do, what is to give a press review. And the newspapers in Germany are extremely angry about the existence of the internet. They didn't expect that something like that would come, and they are not comfortable with the internet. Until now, it's true, and you have to see that in Germany the situation is clearly so that you have a very strong press, which is still strong. It's stronger, for example, than in the United States or in France or so. They are really still rich, the newspapers in Germany. And on the other hand, you have another phenomenon, we didn't speak about it, but there is a sort of media which has a very well-functioning business model. These are the public media, for example, the public system, radio and television system in Germany, which is, has subventions of 8 million euros per year, so it's a very, very, very strong and massive presence, which is also making it more difficult to make something news, because they are already everywhere in a way. Yeah, and so yeah, it's clear. The mainstream media are not happy about the existence of new voices. They are not. Yeah, we always give links when we can give a link. Yes. Yeah, as I said, they are schizophrenic.
Scusate.
On the one hand, they want to have the link and they want that we speak about them. On the other hand, they are angry because they think that we take something away from them, which is not true in my impression, but they say we are giving content free in the internet, and they speak about it, and the readers don't read our newspapers anymore. So they are really in a sort of double bind. They give things away, and on the other hand, they are angry that that they give things away. You know.
Some editors in France have. Sorry. So
even when you publish only two
Even if you only publish 2 lines,
part.
there's even a sort of, they want to create a law which it makes difficult to quote titles of articles, because they see already in a title of an article such an important creative process that they have to be paid for that, you know. And so there is a sort of possessional, they see that it is difficult to make money with content, and in the way that they are seeing it, they want to make something like a profit source out of many. It was never a profit source, content, because it was always advertisement, it was subscription, and the copyrights of articles were perhaps 5% of the income of newspapers. Now they want to make a profit center out of copyright, and this is really a danger for the public sphere, I would say.
Jan, infatti volevo chiedere anche a voi, magari se vuoi aggiungere qualcosa a quello di Thierry, e poi volevo chiederti in particolare, Rio4F era nato come un media alternativo, era un pure player appunto, diciamo che l'essere alternativi, quantomeno in Francia, aiuta molto, no? Ad attirare il pubblico e consensi. Quando siete stati acquistati dal Nouvel Observateur, hanno scritto, non mi ricordo dove, forse i vostri cugini di Libération o di Le Monde, non ricordo, hanno scritto che ora Rio4F è un po' meno puro. Ci puoi dire com'è il passaggio dall'essere un media indipendente alternativo a passare sotto un grande gruppo industriale?
Yes, that's true that the buyout was in many ways some good news, because we were able to hire some journalists instead of firing some of them, which is usually the case when in such a situation. We even had an increase of our salaries, which were lower than average at Rio4F. But you're right, there was also a taste of bitterness about losing this independence in an economic point of view. And the readers sometimes were angry about, and they said, it's a deal breaker. You were independent. You told us you wanted to be independent, and now you are part of a big media. So one way to answer that and to prove them we're still alive is to remain independent in our minds. That means that the new owner, Claude Perdriel, has to. He promised us. He came to us and he told us that he did not want to change the spirit of Rio4F. He loved us. He wants us to keep up the good work. So what we say is, you bet we will continue to do it. There will be, I think, there will be bumps on the road, and sometimes there will be tension with the owner. And we are not so pure as we were. So we also have to live with that and to say we. Maybe to change some things in the way we are working. But I think that the world web is watching, and in a way, Rio4F belongs also to the readers that have trusted us so far. We cannot afford to lose the connection we have built with them. We cannot afford to lose the trust and trust links, and otherwise the company that was acquired won't be worth a dime anymore. In a way, you can say that our independence can be seen as something that has an economical value now.
Dobbiamo sgomberare l'aula, ci sono qui delle copie del report del Reuters Institute, i primi che arrivano senza farsi del male possono...